me segue a little bit and talk a little bit about how COVID is transmitted. And one of the variables that people like to use in the news, and you might hear about this, is this thing called the R0. And the R0 is a way of measuring how frequent the infection is spread. So an R0 of 1, for example, means that for one infected individual, that individual tends to infect an additional person. And so you can see on this part of the figure, for one infected individual, they infect another person, and that person infects another person, and so on and so on. When the R0 is less than 1, it means that for one individual, you infect less than one person, so that it's not perpetuating or propagating across the population. And when the R0 is greater than 1, it means that for one given individual, you're infecting more than one person. So that individual who's infected infects one person, but then that thing starts to spread and spread and spread. And when you have a epidemic or a viral infection across the public health that has an R0 of greater than 1, that's when the virus spreads. And so the goals really are really try to keep the R0 less than 1 so that it stops and it terminates and it fizzles out on its own. And what we've also come to appreciate is that when we take a look at large populations, the spreading of the virus is not homogeneous. So in other words, when we say an R0 of 1, it doesn't mean that everybody in that population is spreading to one individual. It's an overall average of the population. And so this study that they did in Hong Kong when it first outbreak showed this phenomena called what people are describing as super spreader events. And so what is super spreading? Well, super spreading really is this notion that they've realized that 10 to 20% of individuals account for 80 or more % of the transmission of the virus. And so these are clusters of folks. So each dot represents an individual. And so this is sort of a group at a bar, as you can see. This is a group at a wedding. This was a group at a temple. And this is sort of just the general population. And so in some cases, you can see one individual affecting another individual, or one individual affecting potentially two individuals. But they're clearly clusters. So in this particular individual, they infected all of these folks here in this super spreading event. Or in this person at a wedding, they did sort of more than just one individual. So these are the ones that the healthcare officials are really trying to get a handle on. And this is one of the reasons why people say, look, don't get into these large, crowded, closed and quartered places, because these super spreading events is accounting for a large majority of the transmission.